Now, the next thing what you guys do need is a monopod. Now, this is going to be for the Ricoh Theta or the Insta360. If you go for the either two, you need a monopod, right? This is so instead of it's a little different from a tripod to where the tripod aspect of it is very short. It's at the bottom. And really, this thing is just a really long stick after that. It's a little different from a tripod, right? It'll just stand up just like that. I hope you could see that. We screw in the Ricoh Theta B right on top of it. And that is it. That's literally it. I hope this microphone isn't blocking, but literally that's it. Oh, and also, by the way, I also got a protective covering for my camera because like this lens right here kind of just bulges out a lot. And I always had a fear like, okay, what if it gets knocked down? And if it literally falls like this or this onto the camera, then, you're screwed. You can't really fix that. You just have to buy a new one. So I have this protective sleeve rubber silicone covering. It's around the entire camera, and also there's this protective part. So even if you want to like throw it into a backpack or with your other gear, it's going to be perfectly fine with this as long as there's no harsh impact. Definitely scratches and stuff you also want to avoid. So that's another reason you definitely want to get this sleeve. But yeah, guys, ideally this is the setup. You have a phone, it can be an iPhone, no problem. Camera, monopod, that's it. You're ready to go. Go start making money. That's how simple this is going to be. If you're going to go get the Matterport Pro 3, then it's going to be a little bit more complicated. The setup's going to be a little bit more complicated. Operating it is a little bit more complicated. And so if you are going for that setup, I don't think a lot of you are at all. If you are going through that setup, please email me because I have a different set of instructions that you also have to get in addition to this. But majority of you are not going to go for that. So we don't even have to worry about that. It's just an option. I do want you to know who your competition is out there, because just a little quick story time, after I first purchased my camera, I did a couple shoots with real estate agents, and I had this bright idea. I'm like, let me go approach some apartment complexes and things of that nature, right? So there was this one apartment complex franchise, you could say, that basically has an apartment complex or apartment building in almost every main street town here in Jersey. They were called Meridian. I walked in there casually, no appointment, nothing set up. I didn't speak to a single soul in there. I actually had to sneak into the building because everyone needed to scan some sort of a card it was keyless entry into the building. You just scan your thing and then it opens up. But yeah, I had to literally wait there by the door, wait for someone to come in, and then I snuck in. From there, I went straight to the floor where I could find management. The project manager's assistant was there, and I just quickly talked to her. I was like, hey, I have this business. I'm creating 3D virtual tours. I just started doing some, my plan is to start doing photography, videography, drone shots, things like that, evolve the whole thing. And I really think that you guys could benefit from having a 3D virtual tour on your website, because I saw on your website, you guys have some pictures and things, but this is something new where people can actually like feel like they're physically touring the place without actually being there. And I showed her a quick little from my portfolio, one that I did at my parents' house, and like, this is how it can turn out. And even on the Matterport website, they do have some examples of Matterport tours that you can tour. So I kind of just showed her one of those, and I was like, yeah, I did this, So you could do that. And so yeah, she was like, come back when the property manager is actually in so you can talk to him, right? So she basically told him what I could do, who I am. So he had like quite little brief intro of what I was, what I could do. They were more so impressed, I feel like, by my age. I was how old was I? I was like 20, maybe 19. I think 19, 20. And yeah, he was like hyping me up and whatnot. He was like, oh, it's really cool that you're starting a business all by yourself. He was like, I wish I did that when I was your age, blah, 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 blah. The conversation was so friendly, so great. I thought I had this locked in 100%. And he was like really impressed by the technology and the fact that I actually stumbled upon it and actually turned it into a business, yada, 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 right? Conversation went well. He's like, let me just look through all of your stuff, the prices and whatnot, and I'll get back to you. Never heard back from him at all. I reached out to them multiple times. I called the same assistant lady because I had her information, his information as well. Everyone just completely ignored me, right? Then from there, I was like, that's just another one of the punches in the face that you have to take as an entrepreneur as you're trying to establish yourself. Meanwhile, I did have 3 or 4 real estate agents, and I was also getting my way into a real estate firm to get more of those agents to work with me. But I just wanted to see what other avenues I could take this 3D thing into. So, and I figured if Meridian Health, a franchise apartment complex, gives me a shot and I do it for them, then maybe I can go to all the other Meridian apartment complexes in the nearby towns and get them to hire me as well. Because listen, I already worked with you guys technically before, same company. Let me do your other apartment complexes. That was my thought process. But a couple weeks later, basically, I found out, I went on their website just casually and I saw they had 3D virtual tours there. And I'm like, who the hell did this? And just by the visuals and the floor plan, the way it looked, I could tell that somebody bigger dog came in with a Matterport Pro 3. And yeah, so they were apartment complex franchise. They were not really enticed by just for $300 you can get, I'll give you these 3D virtual tours. They don't really give a shit about money because they have so much money. They're looking for top dog quality, right? So they ended up paying thousands of dollars to get someone with a Matterport, Pro 3 or Pro 2 to go in there and give them a much higher quality version of what I could give them. Now, so I mean, lesson learned, right? Maybe don't go for apartment complexes. There are franchises, right? Maybe if they're owned by a single real estate investor or something like that, better. But the really upscale, luxury ones, maybe not the best with Insta360, Rico Theta, and not much experience, not much sales experience and rapport per se. But these are going to be best for real estate agents, contractors, investors themselves. Like if an investor was going to purchase a Meridia building, and he's like, hey, I need to see scans of the place. Can you go scan it real quick? And then I'm going to decide if I want to purchase it. There's a couple different backdoor methods that you can actually work with investors, but wholesalers as well. Wholesalers are considered investors. They need someone to go into a really shitty looking property and just take 3D scans so that they can see if they want to purchase it and they actually don't want to actually visit the property. That's just a little story time. So you might encounter, somebody with a bigger, better camera than you who would get hired because that client doesn't care about money. They care about quality. So you coming in and just saying that you can do it cheaper with a cheaper camera, they don't care, right? So definitely pick and choose your battles. That's one thing I did learn. Real estate agents, they don't want to pay. They don't have the budget to pay for a Matterport Pro, 3 service. They only have a budget for Rico Theta, Insta360, that type of a quality, 3D tour service. So that being said, choose the camera that's best fit for you. Don't go overboard. You can always buy the Rico Theta, make your money back in the first shoot, and then move on to the Insta360 if you want to upgrade. Shit. If you want to use it for the first couple shoots and return it back to Amazon within the 30-day money back guarantee period, I'm not going to knock you. Get your money back, make your profit from the other one, and then go ahead and invest in 360 if you want, right? My original plan was actually to just use my Rico Theta V, rack up a bunch of money, and then purchase the Matterport Pro 3, but I just didn't take it that way. Eventually got into videography, photography, and I was always like a video type of guy. Like I grew up watching YouTube, so I wanted to jump into the video production scene, but that was an option, and that is an option for you. But still, this is most likely your first business venture, so don't go too crazy on the investment. We want you to put your money in and make it back and more, almost immediately. That's the goal here. I don't want you to buy this. I don't even want you to buy a Rico Theta and then you do one shoot and then you just, just sits there collecting dust. If that is the case, at least you paid back yourself for the investment and you didn't lose any money, right? Okay, moving on. So like I said, if you're going to get the Rico Theta or the Insta360, you definitely want to purchase a monopod. And I know I did not put a monopod link here. So once you're watching this video, it probably is added. I'm going to find the exact link that I used to purchase this one right here, because I do recommend it. One thing, if you are not going to go with my recommended monopod and you have your own, you have a tripod, listen, don't use a tripod for these smaller cameras, aka the Rico Theta or the Insta360, because there's a little bit of an issue that happens. Let me stop screen sharing so I can really show you what I'm talking about here. Okay, so I screwed it on, right? If you see right there. So this circular holder, or grip thing that's gripping onto the camera right now, if you can see, there's a little bit of platform right here, and there's a little bit of platform right here. And when you're doing the scans, basically, these platforms can basically show on the scans themselves. And that can be a little bit of an issue. Thankfully, I have not had any issues with this one, but I have had monopods with bigger platforms, and that was always an issue. One of the first few shoots I did, I went and I got a tripod, and the legs were literally sticking out in each image that I took on the camera. So it was just like, overall, it just didn't look good. So make sure you get a skinny monopod, and even these, you don't want them to flare out too much when you're doing it. You want them to be nice and like skinny, like as small as you can make them so they don't show up on the scans. Okay. Now, if you're going to be getting the Matterport Pro 3, I recommend, since that thing is a $5,000 camera, and you can find them online for like around $3,000 for the Pro 2, Pro 1. If you're spending thousands of dollars on a camera like that, I see no reason why you shouldn't be spending hundreds of dollars on the thing that's holding it up, right? So I'm not even going to make a recommendation for the Matterport Pro 3. Just get the most expensive one that you like, that you feel comfortable using. Don't cheap out on it at all. I have not purchased one that expensive, and I have a lot of camera equipment here. I have a couple DSLR cameras and whatnot. I don't even trust the tripods I've purchased for it. I just risked it. So yeah, don't cheap out on a Matterport 3 or Pro 3 tripod. Get a really expensive one. I'd say around the $400 or $500 range, because you want to make sure that thing holds it up right. And with the Matterport 3, it's just so advanced that the the legs showing in the scans issue, this thing is so advanced that it uses AI to make it vanish. So even if it's showing up on the scans, you can kind of just tap it and make things disappear on the scans. And it probably also has its own thing where some of them actually just blur out, because the camera assumes that there will be some sort of base platform or leg sticking out. So you'll see there's like a little diameter of just blurred out, just blur, you know. So with some of these cameras, you're not going to have that issue, but still follow all those guidelines. That I don't want to preface one more time. I just want to run through it again. So if you're getting a Ricoh Theta or Insta360, you need a monopod right here. You're going to be charging the same amount. You can't charge more just because you get one or the other. The quality is not very different as far as the end results and scans. So pick between the two as far as your budget and get a nice monopod. You should only need to spend like 20 bucks on one of these, 20, 25 bucks. That's it, right? Then from there, if you purchase the Matterport Pro 3, go all out on a proper tripod, a really heavy duty one, because you're spending thousands of dollars on the camera. We don't want that thing to fall. We don't want that thing to break. We want something that is sturdy and can actually support it, because they are actually really heavy too. And going back, Ricoh Theta, Insta360, there's no difference in price that you can charge. Matterport Pro 3, you can charge a lot more. So if there is anyone who is looking to jump in and getting the Matterport 3 or Pro 3 and go the tripod route and charge a lot more, heavy investment, shoot me a DM, email me, Ray at Ray Creative Marketing. I'm going to have some additional information for you that's not going to be included in this at all, because this is really a beginner thing. But I do want to give you guys that option, because I know there are some higher level services that you guys already started, businesses that are already running, and maybe you want to get the best of the best. But this is for the general public. Okay.